I'm Monica Calabritto. I am an associate professor in the Romance Languages Department, and I teach Italian.
My name is Joanne Spurza. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Classical and Oriental Studies. I teach a range of archaeology and classics courses.
Hi, I'm Fiore Sireci. I am a part-time associate at English Literature, and I also lecture and do research at Parsons School of Design.
Okay, I spoke about the ways in which I use museum visits at the Metropolitan Museum of Art to supplement and enhance all of the courses that I teach, both archaeology courses, which are really rooted in material culture and artworks and artifacts, but also classes like mythology, Roman civilization, and a range of ancient topics across the board. I also spoke about the practical guidelines of how to organize and prepare and conduct a museum visit.
I spoke about the use that I make of portraits, mostly Renaissance portraits, but also other art of other periods in my class, ranging from Italian language to advanced course, advanced seminar in Italian literature. And I gave part of my presentation was focused on a course that I'm teaching this semester on portraits, focused on portraits and emotions.
And I spoke about, actually, I presented a couple presentations by students because as a teacher of British literature, I feel that the visit to the museum is really a developmental event, and I like to work with students from where they're at. So I feel that the self-guided tour was one of my more successful museum activities, and I presented a couple of student works. I showed my worksheet and how I go about creating these activities.
Even students who were born and raised in New York City and have been to the Met 100 times have seldom seen it, or at least the portions that I guide them through, have seldom seen these portions with an expert. And it opens up a whole world for them, piece by piece, gallery by gallery. For students who have never been to museums, have never been to the Met, it proves to them that they can do it, that they can enjoy it, and they tend to become addicted.
I know that my students have enjoyed enormously going to the museum, both at the Met and at the Free Collection. I also think that they really like the fact that we focus on one or two paintings. They can spend time with them as if they were spending time with a friend or with an acquaintance, and I think that is really beautiful. Sometimes, when you see like people who are on guided tours, I mean, they go so fast, throughout a museum, and they don't really enjoy anything, I suppose. And by going to the museum and spending time and really also soaking into the atmosphere, Joanne was saying that in her presentation, I think that, and also Fiore, I think that it makes students want to go back, and it nourishes them much more than anything else that you can do.
And for students that I've worked with, the museum is it's a bonding experience, community building, but on a deeper level of acquisition of language and acquisition of ideas. I think when, there's some theories on code switching, and when you switch media, it's not just learning things in different media, but when you're called upon to interpret media yourself and bring in what you've learned in another area. I think there was one person that talked about had a Chaucer passage. It's not just merely using the passage, it's kind of making students think, what their resources are, how their memory's working, how their interpretation's working. And it's that kind of crucial moment at the museum when they can do that. So I feel it doesn't always work out the way I want it to. That's my high hope. But when it does work out, it's magical. It's beautiful how they're really drawing on what their potential in interpreting literature. It's a beautiful thing.
One of the best things about teaching at Hunter College is the fact that the Metropolitan Museum is a dozen blocks up the street. And in my presentation, I included handouts, checklists, and lots of guidelines so that faculty in many departments and many disciplines can use these guidelines to get started. And as I should have mentioned, anyone who would like to tag along on any of my visits would be most welcome.
So both Professor Spurza and Professor Calabritto talked about different levels of reading, understood in a broader sense. And I feel like other professors, other educators, of course, should and could take advantage of the museum. I think sometimes the barrier would be, how do I do it? Who do I contact? What is, what are the practical type of, how much time does it take? But I think sometimes in some ways it's a question of maybe confidence, in a way of saying, I don't, Professor Calabritto talked about, the kind of permission you give yourself to launch into a different field. And I think one thing I would say is a very general thing is, a couple postmodernists talk about reading culture as a text. And I think as a professor, if you read the museum before you go there, you kind of read it for yourself. You kind of read out what it's about, read out the space, read out the meaning of it, read out its place in modern society, which is very, as I always tell students, very contingent and very recent. If you read it, then when you design any kind of activity for students, it resonates with them, because you yourself have kind of struggled with that, that the meaning of the museum for yourself. And it could be as profound as you want, it could be as simple and fun as you want. I just love this room because there's lots of gold in it, But once you commit yourself to that, I think it's easier to feel confident about presenting it to your class.